Wait, this isn't the right place.
GoldenFox? How did you get in here?
Well... FOB Equestria! I meant to say Fallout Equestria, but this is good too. Huh. So, this is where you live. Smells like sweat and dry tears.
Aramau, please put set up defenses for Tumblr fandom logic on the schedule. We got another one.
Yes, sir.
Ugh, this is never gonna end. Wait, why would you want to go to Fallout Equestria?
I wanted to see if I could be taken to the closest Barnes & Noble store for a copy. I, haven't read it yet.
I'm not going to begin to go into what's wrong with that. Well, you're here. Want to review an MLP episode that's completely unrelated to the subject at hand?
The only way to do it.
So, this episode opens up with Bookhorse doing Bookhorse things because Bookhorse. Bookhorse.
Why, there must be at least 20,000 books to organize.
Math time!
Alright, time to check my email.
Okay, so she has 20,000 books. If there are 60 seconds in a minute and 60 minutes in an hour, and it takes a minimum of 1 second to organize one book, this feat would take 5.5 hours. Minimum. Just shelving books.
Sounds like a wild Friday night.
Here's an interesting character moment. Twilight is pretty neurotic, and it would take a lot of patience to understand and put up with the things that both her job and personality demand. It seems like Spike is one of the only people who has the patience, love, or both to keep up with her. Spike does have his own interests and needs, but more often than not, he forgoes them for Twilight. He has such a great servant attitude. His ultimate goal is simply to help, which is one of the reasons I like him so much, and is probably another big reason why he became so smitten with Rarity.
Not too keen on interspecies relationships, let alone between an adult and a quote-unquote baby dragon. We then cut to them leaving the library.
Oh God, natural light!
And proceeding outside, Twilight leaves the door open. Yeah, with no guards, no security. Gee, I hope no criminals or ponies with a possible vendetta might want to break into the castle of Twilight Sparkle, Princess of Friendship.
We've been in that library for 3 straight days.
Yes, but they were 3 very productive days, even if you did take that 2-hour claw massage break.
Twilight, honey, that was 2 hours out of 3 days for an activity that was completely pointless. Jeez, even Dungeons & Dragons sessions don't last that long.
Excuse you, Kettle. Isn't Dungeons & Dragons pointless?
No, actually. Technically, you can put Dungeons & Dragons on your resume as a team-building skill, as long as you don't mention it by name. Here's why. You meet with peers for twice-monthly creativity and conflict resolution exercises, you gain necessary experiences for character and skill development, and you learn to quickly assess situations and collaborate to find the best practice solutions.
Really? How long do they last?
Oh, not that long, about 7 hours.
7 hours? Huh. Well, that's another lesson to learn about this. So it appears that ludicrous speed and gone to play dive-bombed in front of Twilight. And what follows afterwards is what looks like something right out of the Twilight Zone. No pun intended. And this is the first problem that just annoys me to no end. Discord's puns. He isn't funny in this episode. How do you screw that up?
Well, to be fair, we both despise puns. Maybe we're just the wrong audience for this kind of humor?
You don't have to like puns to know they suck. I get they're trying to make him a little bit like Genie from Aladdin. But yeah, Discord wishes he were the genie here. I swear that pun was not intentional. You see what this episode's doing to me?
You wouldn't really get it unless you were there.
Ugh.
What's wrong?
Wait for it.
All that organizing has done wonders for your complexion.
I'm sorry, what? Which bizarro universe are we in that staying inside without sunlight for 3 days helps your complexion?
A universe of people who spend their lives on the internet playing MMOs, surfing social media, vlogging. Something I would do.
F***ing millennials.
I'm about 4 years older than you, dude. Shut up.
I've even included my favorites by former cancel art designer to the stars, Rococo Frou Frou.
Oh, I love her.
Him.
Both.
Wait, both? Is he saying that?
Moving on!
Hi, Twilight. Hi, Spike. How was your book sortation? It was good. Aren't you glad you did it?
You're a card.
Okay, episode, look. I understand that on paper, it might be funny if Twilight wouldn't get any of these jokes because she has no context. And to see her growing frustration, a la the one where Pinkie Pie knows, it would create comedy. But here, we don't see that. We don't see Twilight frustrated or overreacting or maybe even putting a ludicrous amount of effort to maybe find the context behind the jokes. Here, she doesn't put any effort into it at all. In fact, she seems a little hurt at points. That's not funny.
Oh, I'll remember that for later. It'll help me. So after another over-milked orange joke, Twilight keeps running into Discord, and my god, they're making this episode so predictable, there's no tension at all.
All this episode is, so far, is telling the joke's punchline without the buildup. And surprise, surprise, it's not funny. It's actually kind of annoying and upsetting. Like Twilight, we feel we missed out on something fun.
And as with cringe comedy, just because you accomplish what you want us to feel doesn't mean it's going to be entertaining. And in this case, I want to stop watching this episode because of this.
Yeah, this isn't a pleasant feeling. I mean, on one hand, I do have to applaud them making us feel exactly what the main character is feeling. That's actually kind of cool. On the other hand, we kinda don't want to feel upset and longing. Okay, seemingly random tangent, but there's this video game called Spec Ops: The Line. It disguises itself as a dumb military third-person shooter power trip, but it quickly turns out that this game was designed to make you feel awful for having the mindset of, I'm the hero, and therefore everything I do is okay. And in the end, I'm glad I played it, because it was an experience I'll never forget. It showed me the potential of video game narratives, what they are capable of accomplishing on an emotional level, and how they can connect to the player. In this episode's case, I'm just like, stop punning and reusing jokes that we didn't laugh at the first time! Then Twilight retreats to the castle to wallow in the most blatant denial I've ever seen.
Spike, I am the princess of friendship. I don't get jealous. I'm sorry I missed out because sharing that experience would have helped me with my princess of friendship duties.
Come again?
Oh, Spike, you are amazing. And continuing whenever Spike slips into awesome mode, he knows exactly what Twilight's gonna do, and he just accepts it as something that has to happen.
If our friends could enjoy 3 full days with Discord that much, it must have something to do with the specific things they did together. If we could find out what those things were, it could be a real breakthrough in the science of friendship.
Twilight, even if you succeeded in recreating the experience, it's not going to have the same impact as it did before. And I do know so because when streaming Tetris again to get Bliss's OCD reaction, it wasn't as fun. And throughout this scene, she continues with this. Oh my god! Well, at least I got a graveyard shift so that I won't have to get nightmares out of that.
Interesting.
Why?
Nothing. Yet.
You stay far away from me.
I don't know if I can get it out. It's too funny.
Oh, but we must. It's for the greater good.
The greater good.
It started when we were helping Granny Smith with her garden.
I reckon you mean my sister Apple Bloom.
All you apples look the same.
How disrespectful of you, Discord!
Well, sometimes that's what friends do. We say nasty things to each other because we know the other guy can take it. Did it all the time in the military. And besides, I feel it's kind of presumptuous to judge another person's relationship from the outside.
That's playful teasing, though. It's not the same thing as, you know what, never mind. We're stalling too much.
I do need to be there.
But you weren't, and it's already happened. Ooh, are you suggesting time travel?
No time travel.
Anyone who's read a lick of science fiction knows that's a terrible idea.
Or seen the season 5 finale. Speaking of...
Absolutely not. Time travel is not something to be messed with.
You planned this.
What?
You planned this. I know you did.
Epic foreshadowing at its finest! And so she goes to investigate the location, and thus what follows is exactly what I was talking about. What's worse is that this whole scene is boring. This overstays its welcome.
I think the problem, again, is that Twilight is too calm. She's previously freaked out over smaller beings, so we're not allowed to enjoy her frustration or anger or exasperation. The comedy, what little there is coming from Discord. And as we mentioned earlier, it's just a bunch of puns and punchlines without the build-up!
So Twilight goes back home, pouting again. She then goes to make the most ridiculous and kind of upsetting assumptions.
Our friends think something great happened to them while I was away, but no, it was something awful. If we don't break the spell they're under, who knows what terrible things could happen? Spell?
Alright, here's why this doesn't work, comedy-wise. In Lesson 0, and It's About Time, it shows that Twilight becomes frazzled because the events conspiring against her and her increasing desperation to meet some sort of deadline. So when she goes,
Hi, girls! I'll make a friendship problem! Monitor everything.
we laugh. But here, it's just nothing. We get nothing.
And from boring to downright cringing and embarrassing, the next scene becomes so uncomfortable.
In what way can you tell that they are indeed under a spell?
They're having fun with Discord, that's why.
Okay, Twilight, real talk. Are you really going to push Discord away like that again? Need we remind you about how you ignored Discord to the point where he had to fake an illness in order for you to pay attention to him? No wonder he betrayed you to Tirek!
And that's another thing. After all of what happened in Discord after he was betrayed by Tirek, he discovered the errors of his ways, and was willing to relearn the values of friendship through trial and error, as shown when attending the Grand Galloping Gala with the Schmooze. And after all of this progression, you really think he'd jeopardize his friendship like this again? How dishonest of you! And further shows something that I have to save later in this episode. So the next morning, the main six are brought to the table for Twilight to give a potion to the main six, and the whole scene is awkward beyond belief. Twilight's being completely out of the blue with her mindset, and how is that canteen not empty?
Golden, I think that's the least of this episode's problems.
I know, but it still bugs me.
What kind of fertilizer have you had your nose in, Twilight?
Okay, I'll admit that was actually funny.
She just insinuated that Twilight smells shit, or is full of shit.
Why is that unemptied canteen still bothering me?
So, Discord reveals that he convinced everyone to not invite Twilight so she could realize that she could get jealous and learn a lesson. I think the wording's kind of unclear. He says he excluded Twilight from their activities just to watch her squirm, but he also said it was never his intention to make Twilight jealous. Which is it? Well, okay, let's take this from the angle that he did intend this as a sort of trollish teaching. You know, there was a long time ago when a troll was something that could be respected. A troll would tease, get a rise out of you, but that was only so you could laugh at yourself, so you could see your own ridiculousness and grow from it. Since then, that has been corrupted beyond all belief, but not the point. I like how Discord sometimes acts like this classic troll. Sometimes he teaches Twilight friendship lessons in his own warped way. He figures that as a good guy, that he has to help Twilight on her journey to understand friendship and help ponies grow, but in the end, who he is on the inside is a trickster. He's not gonna do it in a straightforward way, and he's definitely not gonna do it without someone becoming angry or humiliated. It certainly is cool to think of Discord as someone who noticed this flaw in Twilight's character, found a situation where he could bring it to the surface, and had it dealt with.
But here's the problem with that, and I've been building up to this moment. The main six were just as much to blame for the situation as Twilight was. Even though Twilight was insisting it wasn't bugging her, her friends know her better than that, or at least they should. They could and should have noticed something was up when Twilight tried to recreate the experience at the diner. Instead, they were just saying, "Oh, you should have just been there," and just walk away. Them saying that so much throughout the episode, in spite of Twilight's repeated attempts to understanding, came off as careless. They did something similar to this back in Lesson 0. They should know better. And unlike this episode, that kind of scenario was played up to deliver the moral in the final act, which really would have benefited here. The point is, if Discord called the rest of the main six out as well for somehow being so unable to put two and two together, they would have fixed so many problems.
Alright, so moving on to the unintended theory. It's actually kind of better, oddly. Discord intends to get a rise out of the other characters via his antics, so it's consistent with his character that Discord was just getting under Twilight's skin for the lulz. But that's kind of the problem. We don't get this episode from Discord's point of view, where lulz are being had. We're seeing this from Twilight's point of view, where she's upset and melancholy.
And while that would be good, mainly because he does get his comeuppance at the end, that doesn't excuse how unfunny and almost mean-spirited this episode's journey was. I cringed, I got angry and annoyed by everything that happened. Making Discord unfunny is a sin to me. This is easily my least favorite episode of Season 5. So does anyone know where I can find a fireplace to poof back to my channel?
Yep. Oh yes, don't eat the pomegranates. You'll be bound for eternity, and Hades takes that sort of thing way too seriously.
Butterbomb!